All right, sorry about that. Sorry, kickback. Can everyone turn their audio off, please, in here? So we have now tropical depression Ida located over central Mississippi. It is continuing to move, winds around 35 miles per hour, continuing to move on that northeastern track, mostly those rain impacts we're seeing related to the storm, and then it's going to continue to keep right now remaining a tropical depression as it continues its track through Tennessee, Virginia, and continue out to the Atlantic. There is potential for impacts to a couple of our operations, which will be in the path of the storm, including the op in Tennessee, Rivers Rumbles, and then some of our resettlement operations scheduled in Virginia and New Jersey. Heavy rains and gusty winds will be tied to those locations as the storm just continues to progress. So looking at some of, taking a step back, Ida did weaken to a tropical storm around 4 a.m. this morning, so that it spent about 14 hours as a hurricane while it was over land. There we go. So there were some mandatory evacuations ordered ahead of the storm, but some individuals chose or were unable to evacuate ahead of that storm. So there were a few different locations where we did see some levees toppled, including in Laplace, which is just west of New Orleans, as well as in Lafitte, which is just south, a little bit south of New Orleans as well. And that led to various different flooded homes and requests for those water rescues throughout the night and into the morning this morning. So this is just looking at where we saw the greatest water rainfall accumulation throughout the last 24 hours. Sorry, internet's struggling today, so I'll talk you through it. But just see those deeper, or the lighter blues are going to be where those higher percentages of rain fell. And see that in Hammond, Louisiana, one of those areas, and pushing out to Slidell. So seeing a lot of flooding impacts more towards, like we had discussed before the storm, was making landfall, seeing a lot of those water impacts, flooding events to the east of the eye wall, and really around the New Orleans, north of the lake there as well. Just seeing a lot of those flooding impacts focused around there. And then seeing a lot of the more wind-based damage to really following the eye of the storm, especially south, especially near the landfall area, just on the coast, and then moving up. So those were some of the major impacts we're seeing. There's obviously a lot of information moving through as there's a lot of comms issues in the area. So even the state EOC is struggling to communicate or hear from some of the parishes to report the damage and identify any needs they have. But it is continuing to improve slightly, but still a lot of information, just hard to get out of some of these areas. And finally, just wanted to touch on COVID. We did see some of Louisiana evacuated many hospitals and nursing homes in the path of Ida before landfall, but were unable to do so for many of the largest facilities as they had lacked nearby overflow capacity. The governor did noted a priority for the state in the coming days and weeks will be to ensure those hospitals have sufficient water and generator power to sustain operations, especially for critical care patients on ventilators, just in the midst of the additional COVID wave that's currently hitting the state. And actually, finally, there it is. Looking at just the tropical outlook, we do have that tropical storm Kate that was named today. That is looking to not impact land, continue to move out further out east into the Atlantic. We do have the system pushing off of Africa, moving west, should form in the next few days into a tropical system. And then today did see this low pressure system in a similar location that we saw Ida form. So not looking like it'll form in the next at least 5 days, but kind of future unknown on both these two storms, but we will continue to pay attention to and keep an eye on that. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Steve.
All right, thank you. We're going to be rolling into a planning update with Britton. All right, thanks, Steve. Currently, we're in the Advon phase. We are staging Advon for those to move to Houston to be in a better location to get in to support those in need. We're currently conducting recon in the area. We have 3 recon teams, one moving through Slidell, one through Macomb, and one through St. John the Baptist Parish, along with Kate in the Mississippi EOC. That's all I've got. Back to you, Steve. So Advon, the Advon piece, we got everybody's loading up trucks right now out of the knock, and they're going to be staying at Rebuild tonight. We're getting them pre-staged for undetermined movement forward into Louisiana that we're still determining. More information will follow on that based on the report out that we'll get later this evening from the recon teams. And we're going to move to IMT. Field ops. Elizabeth? She has bad Wi-Fi. I can't see as well.
All right, so we've got recon or route clearance A and B are both working at that St. James Parish clearing that was passed up through the recon intel. That's going to be their 3rd work order they're completing of the day. That does include recon or route clearance Alpha, who did provide a little bit of a rescue assist, helping with some clearance for the medevac that they encountered en route to their first tasking. With that, the Office of State Fire Marshal USAR operation is demobbing as I talk. The fire marshal did offer for us and ask for us to stay and support secondary response operations, that they're going to continue. So doing more of our traditional route clearance and core operations. Eventually, I'm going to be keeping my seat here in the EOS or SOC for the time being. Tonight's building for the teams is going to consist of camping on or near the SOC. I'm going to make that decision here shortly. And for those who are tracking, comms at the SOC are improving. It is still difficult comms in the field, but we are working on mitigating that. That's all I've got for you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Quick question for Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth, on the route clearance teams, first of all, good job on everything on the route clearance teams. It's my understanding they will stay engaged with the state, but they've been given green light to basically find work, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they do have some taskings or some work orders that they did have for USAR that was pure route clearance, not anything USAR related. Still trying to understand how that's going to get passed along with the demob and the transition there. I'm having that conversation with Chief Edwards later on.
Perfect. Perfect. Will you send up the flare when that gets passed on, just so we know where we're working? Also, any chance that that's going to be down in Lafourche Parish?
Can you say that last bit again? The echo makes it hard to understand.
Yeah, any chance they're going to be pushed down to Lafourche Parish?
Yeah, it's a very dynamic, fluid conversation. So if we have something or some area we want to focus on, he will agree to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and moving to mobilization with Claudia.
This is Brenda with South Branch Mobilization. We have dispatched 23 gray shirts as part of the Advon Logistics Support Team. We're standing by to support movement and lodging requests. That's it.
All right, thank you. And logistics.
Advon team out the door right now, and supporting them, getting them down to Houston Rebuild. That's what we've got for right now.
Thanks, sir. Mr. John DeToma, Finance.
Yes, hi, everybody. We completed the funding of the Advon team from NOLA, or the NOLA Advon team, Oscar and Mike. And we're monitoring the expenses of the route clearance group, as well as the recon teams, in prep for the operational phase where we will go full with the tracker, finance tracker. We're currently identifying the finance staff that we can use that will be able to man the FOB as the finance section chief. Most of our folks have permanent jobs, so we're having difficulty trying to schedule somebody that be physically there, but we would definitely have some remote support. That and we're reaching out also to the West Branch or the West Branch as well as the North Branch to see if they got any potential that would like to participate on a temporary basis on site as the finance section chief. Other than that, we're standing by.
Thank you, sir. We're gonna move to Marcoms with Morgan.
Hey, it's Joy. I'm jumping in for Morgan right now. Sorry, I'm echoing. Hold on one second. Thank you. Okay. So we have the 3 photographers that just went out with the Houston team. And then we had national media coverage this morning. We did Fox and Friends First, and CBS this morning. Tomorrow we'll have Fox or Kabuto Coast to Coast. And we've had a ton of local coverage. So a lot of local outlets across the country have asked about area-specific gray shirts. We've had coverage in Houston, Wisconsin, Rochester, Minnesota, Austin, and Los Angeles. From a social perspective, we're sharing the first recon route clearance photos on social and stand by as content continues to flow in. And that's all from our comms.
Awesome, thank you, Joy. And moving to Dev.
Yep. So we're continuing to to reach out to donors. We have a potential 6 to 7 figure gift coming in from an anonymous donor for Ida. We're confirming we'll know more soon. We're also in communication with Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. And we're tracking Ida and continuing discussions on potential support there. And that's it from Deb.
Wow, awesome news. Okay, open it up to any questions before leadership. All right, leadership.
Yeah, I just echo, really good job. I think we're as best positioned as we can be, given the current situation, given the unknowns where the damage is. We'll continue to move the recon teams around and be ready to pounce when we identify it. The route clearance teams hopefully will have been engaged. We'll continue to get those 2 teams engaged, pushing those into the hardest hit areas. Really appreciate everybody on the call. Special thanks, continued thanks to both Kate, who I think has been on target this morning since 03:30. So good job on that, Kate. Elizabeth as well, being very Semper Gumby, being very flexible, but making inroads, not just for this storm, but as we know, we'll be back in Louisiana for many, many storms. So keep up the good work. Communicate early, communicate often. Let's make sure that we're, if we have a question, ask it. And again, just really good job all the way around to the team, getting us in the best possible position we can be in, given the situation. Thank you.
All right, same time tomorrow. Appreciate all y'all are doing. Thank y'all. Have a good night.